long before the Jedi and Sith, before the first lightsaber ever ignited in the dark, there existed a civilization that could step between the stars with a single thought. A species who harnessed the fabric of space itself and paid the ultimate price for their hubris. These were the Qua, the architects of infinity. Welcome back to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders, your home for all things Star Wars lore. Today we journey back hundreds of thousands of years before the founding of the Galactic Republic to uncover the rise and fall of one of the galaxy's most mysterious ancient species, the Qua. From their awe-inspiring infinity gates to their tragic downfall at the hands of the Rakata, the story of the Qua is one of enlightenment, arrogance, and extinction. The Qua were an ancient species native to the outer rim world of Dathomir, though some sources suggest they may have originated beyond the known galaxy. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, these cobalt blue saurians possessed telepathic abilities and the uncanny power to move at astonishing speed. But it was not their physiology that made them legendary. It was their mastery over cosmic energy and the technologies they forged through it. Their greatest creation? The Infinity Gates. These vast permanent structures could open portals between stars, allowing instantaneous travel across interstellar distances. Each gate was housed within a massive star temple, pyramidal structures that channeled immense energy, echoing the designs of the Celestials themselves. Through these gateways, the Qua expanded beyond Dathomir, uniting a network of worlds in what became known as the Qua Holdings, a regional empire that rose to prominence long before the Galactic Republic or even the Rakata's infinite empire. The Qua saw themselves not as conquerors, but as stewards of civilization. Attuned to what they called the power of the cosmos, the Qua traveled from world to world, bringing knowledge and enlightenment to primitive species. They even served the mysterious Celestials alongside other ancient species, such as the Gree and the Killiks, helping to construct monumental galactic structures beyond comprehension. But with such power came inevitable conflict. By around 100,000 before the Battle of Yavin, the Qua's technology made them a galactic power and a threat. The Gree Empire, rivals in both influence and invention, began to clash with the Qua over territory and resources. Their Infinity Gates, capable of unleashing devastating energy waves known as the Infinity Wave, became instruments of both creation and destruction. Still, the Qua persevered, until they encountered a new species that would spell their doom. Through one of the gates, the Qua arrived on Lehon, the ancient homeworld of the Rakata. At the time, the Rakata were primitive but highly force-sensitive beings. Believing they could uplift the Rakata as they had other species, the Qua shared with them both their knowledge of the Force and fragments of their technology. It was a mistake that would haunt them forever. The Rakata's lust for power was insatiable. Once they mastered the Qua's teachings, they turned their newfound knowledge toward conquest and domination. The Rakata built their infinite empire upon the foundations the Qua had laid, and soon the students turned upon their masters. When the Rakata demanded access to the Infinity Gates, the Qua refused. This defiance sparked a devastating war, a conflict that saw the Qua fighting desperately to destroy the very gates they had created. One of the bloodiest battles was fought on Lehon, where the Qua sacrificed countless lives to prevent the Rakata from unlocking the secret of instantaneous travel. Realizing the full scope of the Rakata's darkness, the Qua sought to erase their technology from the galaxy. They traveled from world to world, destroying or sealing the Infinity Gates and posting guardians, enormous Wuffa worms, to protect the remaining star temples. But their efforts came too late. The Rakata's infinite empire swept across the stars, consuming everything in its path. One by one, the Qua colonies fell, and their people were slaughtered or enslaved. Those who survived fled back to Dathomir, sealing themselves away from the galaxy they had once enlightened. Over millennia, the isolation and the dark corruption of Dathomir changed them. The once great Qua degenerated into a more primitive species known as the Quai, simple, quadrupedal beings who barely remembered their ancestors' achievements. According to Dathomiri legend, it was the spirits of the planet who punished the Qua for their arrogance. The Night Sisters believed that the use of the Infinity Gates had wounded Dathomir itself, creating voids in the Force that drew the Rakata to the world as an act of cosmic balance. Centuries later, the descendants of the Qua, the Quai tribes, would again face tragedy when the Night Sisters discovered one of the ancient gates and slaughtered many of their kind in pursuit of forbidden power. All that remains of the Qua today are ruined star temples hidden across forgotten worlds, silent monuments to a species that once shaped the stars themselves. And that concludes our exploration of the Qua, the ancient builders of the Infinity Gates, beings whose quest to share enlightenment ultimately brought ruin to their kind. Their story stands as a haunting echo from the dawn of galactic history, a reminder that even the brightest light can cast the darkest shadow. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Star Wars Legends lore, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. Share it with a friend who loves ancient Star Wars mythology. And if you'd like to support the continued creation of videos like this one, you can join our Patreon or become a channel member for early access and exclusive content. Until the Infernal Brotherhood convenes again, my fellow scruffy-looking Nerf Herders, may the Force be with you.